So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Don Mafia Report. As promised, we are going to be unpacking the Bills and the Bengals game this upcoming Sunday. I have a special guest on. He has been chomping at the bit to get on this show and really get into a nice, deep discussion of who is going to win this matchup on Sunday, and then ultimately some other takes that I have had toward the beginning of the season. Zim Houday, I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar if you are a Cincinnati Bengals fan joining us right now. We are going to have an awesome conversation. I ask each and every single one of you as you're coming in, you already know the deal. Hit that thumbs up sign for me. It's the easiest way to propel this out to the algorithm so we can welcome more family members into the conversation. Additionally, I'm nosy as hell. Let me know where you're tuning in from. What corner of the globe are you tapping in from this morning? Happy Friday to all of you. You guys already know the deal. I need to go on ahead and give a giant shout out to a couple of our proud partners over here today. Starting off with our good friend over at William Mattar. Folks, if you are ever hurt in a car, you have to call William Mattar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish a car accident on anybody, but say that it does happen. Do me a favor and make sure you have this phone number top of mind, ingrained into your mental. Giant shout out to our friends over there. Last but not least, we need to give a giant shout out to our good friends over at Garage Beer. Beer, Taste, and Beer, the official beer partner of the Don Mafia Report. And folks, without further ado, let's go on ahead and welcome in my good friend, Zim Houday. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Dan. It's been a long time coming, man.
It has been a long time coming. It definitely has been a long time coming. And you know what? I feel like you just don't understand me, Zim, because yesterday when we were, sort of chopping it up right on the channel, you said, man, that's a shame because you are hands down one of my most hated accounts on any platform whatsoever. Right now, first off, that breaks my heart because I do feel like you and I are actually on the same page on a lot of different topics. So I'm kind of curious, dude. Like, what exactly infuriates you about my platforms? I'm curious.
You know what's so crazy about it is, off of this, you're probably, we talk,
Yeah, we talk.
You're a great guy. But
you
I think our two franchises are victims of what I think happens a lot with the status quo in the NFL.
Yeah,
the misinformation of a lot of different topics, and then it's just like all these different perspectives that really don't show that much validity to it. So the thing that makes me not like your account probably more than any account I could think of is every time there's a topic that involves the Bengals, it has little to no research. It's all opinion-based stuff, and it's generally always negative. I've never seen a positive. I've never seen it. Like if Trey Hendrickson, for instance, right, he turns 31 today. We give him a pay bump. You watch teams like the Steelers go and pay all this guaranteed money to, at the time we were like, why would anybody pay 30+ euro? But at the time when I see yours, you're like, yeah, they just don't have enough money. They're in shambles. I'm like, no, they're kind of smart by not paying this dude that's getting older. And I don't know. Like that's just one example.
Yeah,
but you're never in favor of the Bengals. I will tell you that.
Never in favor of the Bengals. So like
never.
It's funny because a lot of people have a misconception of me. They're like, Dan, like you're a clickbait guy. It's not the case, right? Like I genuinely believe everything that I type out. I think it's just people being like, all right, hey, like this guy, obviously he's trying to get the eyeballs on. It's not the case. Literally everything that I put out on the internet, I genuinely believe to my core. But based off of our conversations today, I want to make sure that all of it stays on track. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, I feel like you and I are actually on the same page on a lot of things. I've never once said that Joe Burrow was not an elite quarterback. I think you and I are on the same page there. Based off of previous conversations we have had, I know that you have also admitted that Josh Allen is an elite quarterback in this league. So we can we can go on ahead and just sort of put that away. I do obviously want to preview this game based off of how I think the Bengals present challenges and how the Bills present challenges as well. But I did kind of want to like unpack like topic by topic, something that you believe is not the case. I feel what you want to really dive into is some of my statements toward the beginning of the season where I said that this organization in Cincinnati is broken and their priorities are not in order. I'm assuming that's probably your biggest beef with my line of thinking, right?
Yeah, I think, and again, it goes back to, you got to trace the money, you got to trace the no championships and all these different things. The people that are on TV are giving a perspective of, I think it's probably agreed upon by a lot of people on what they perceive that the Bengals are, rather than the actual, like, what is their actual salary cap? Okay, how much? Okay, they're paying wide receivers. Okay, what is the norm for the NFL for paying for the top 3-4 players on a team? I think everybody talks about the roster construction of the Bengals, but they don't pay attention to what the Bengals did in the draft. You can also compare teams like the Rams and the Eagles, who have two of the lowest defensive, payrolls in the NFL. The Bengals are trying to actively kind of mirror something like that. When we go into the actual matchup, you'll look at a lot of our defensive players. They're all first and second round, like every single position.
True.
Second round, first round is 2 first-round edges, 2 second-round defensive tackles. There's a second-round linebacker, first-round corner, second-round corner, second-round corner. You know what I'm saying? These are all high premium picks, and we're waiting for one of those to hit. So, yeah, you're damn right. If a T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase is in the building, we're going to pay them, because it's about retention and it's about keeping your best players. And I think a lot of people, the argument gets flipped on us, whereas you could go look at someone like, what's the difference between the Bengals and the Ravens? The Ravens are paying Roquan Smith, a linebacker, $20 million. Like, what's the difference? It's just where you prioritize the marquee players. Like, they drafted Kyle Hamilton at the top of their draft board, so that will be a marquee player that I'm sure that they'll want to retain. And I think that's how I look at it. I don't look at it by position. Like, I don't say, well, you can't pay. I look at who's the best players on your team. Pay those people. And if they aren't the best players on your team, do not pay those people.
Yeah. So my entire thought process, like this offseason, like, a lot of Bengals fans were just like, oh, like Dan's trying to say that Cincinnati will be unable to accomplish this. I knew that if you have a reasonably intelligent GM, you can make cap work in this league. You can. Why I was so against it, Zim, was that I was saying, look, I acknowledge that Joe Burrow, he's generational. His processing is absolutely through the roof. He knows what he is doing. In my mind, I didn't see why it was necessary to also bring in T. Higgins into the conversation. Because when you look at all like tape examples, EPA, advanced metrics, when there's just Jamar Chase out on the field, then he is virtually the same as a quarterback. He's still elite when it comes into processing. For the most part, when it comes into your offensive game plan, like, you guys are very good at scheming even some of your like slots as well, like some of your tight ends open. So for me, I was thinking, they could have very easily went on ahead and traded like Trey Hendrickson or traded T. Higgins. Probably wouldn't have missed much of a beat offensively. And rather than sitting back on a GM that has struggled to hit on several draft classes, I can't think of the last one from Cincinnati. And you could probably make the same argument from Buffalo as well. But I can't really see a lot of quality draft pieces where this front office should have said, you know what, maybe, just maybe, we could have went out and we could have gotten 3 free agents that could have helped out this squad. Because last year, right, like, one thing that infuriates me, and I hate having this conversation with people, I don't think wins are a quarterback stat at all. Because if you think wins are a quarterback stat, then losses have to be a quarterback stat as well. If wins were a quarterback stat, then Bo Nix would be top 3 in this league. Then Trevor Lawrence would be top 5 in this league. It's not so much the case. So rather than your front office hoping that the development of your first and second rounders would be ahead of schedule and make them back on that defensive side of the football, you would have went out and, rather than signing Trey Hendrickson and rather than signing T. Higgins, you would have been able to get some impact players to help out the Cincinnati Bengals D. Because right now, and so I know you have eyes right now, like, this team, although that they have been hot for the past couple of seasons, they are the 4th worst defense in NFL history through 12 weeks based off of DVOA. So that was my thought process, was just like, look, like, Burrow's elite. I don't think that your offensive production would have dropped at all whatsoever. I think you would agree with that. And then with Trey Hendrickson, like, I mean, come on. Yeah, right? Like you could have easily gone ahead and sent him off and maybe grabbed a couple of more free agents that were already proven and could help you take that next step.
I hear you, but again, it's always about retaining your best players. You're watching guys like George Pickens currently right now. You could say, well, we got DK, and you know, we're good to go.
Is awful.
But I'm saying, but you know what would change them up and what would free him up a little bit, or free Aaron Rodgers up to make them a legit team. Now, mind you, I'm in the same division as them. I've noticed that, and when I talk to Z-Bot, shout out to Z-Bot. He has a lot of respect for the Steelers. I'm in the AFC North, so it's a rival team of ours, right?
Yeah.
What they've done defensive wise is a lot like what you're saying. It's like, go pay all this money for defense, take your chances on some other stuff, and see where it lands. Okay, so the Steelers have the highest paid defense in the NFL. You played them a week ago. Did they look like the highest paid defense to you?
No, not at all.
All right.
Old and geriatric.
So what happens is these teams fall in love with this concept of like, okay, let's sell off some of our best players in order to get better. To me, that's not a formula for winning. Okay. And one of the things that I think that you're kind of glossing over is this. There's no team in the NFL, there's no front office in the NFL that's going to draft a guy like, for instance, Myles Murphy, right? First round pick, Shamar Stewart, first round pick. Yeah, Chris Jenkins, second round pick. That's just on the D tackle line just in the last year. There's no team that's going to say, yeah, you know what? We drafted first round DNs and D tackles. 1 year done. Ha! Well, let's go get better. Let's just go draft. So now I'm taking away reps. So those are the intricacies. Like you could tell me, like, let's go. What's his name? Deontay Walker, right?
Yeah.
For you guys right now, right?
Yeah.
There's no way in the world you could sell the fan base this upcoming season. Sure, you will have another guy like an upgraded version of Ogunjobi that you like to say, hey, let me put him next to him, right?
Okay.
But you wouldn't go out to free agency and say, let me go get the best defensive tackle. So now I could take snaps away from that guy. And I'm just giving a one broad example. But that's literally the Bengals is DJ Turner, Dax Hill, all these guys. These are all first and second round picks. So this notion that you would just go out in free agency and just go, who was the number one corner like this all season? Like the cornerback market was weak. But let's say I went out and I went and did that. So now I'm bailing on first round talents. And I get it. The defense hasn't been good. But much like your season, there are details if you follow the team that will change how you probably view that. For one, it's a brand new defensive coordinator. So in the offseason, we agreed that we wanted to see the young players play. The young players played. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt of the world. They didn't like it. They're like, get me out of here, right? So now you have the growing pains of playing those guys now. But I think since the bye, we're starting to see the fruits of our labor on throwing those guys into the fire. And I was fully prepared for that. I wasn't fully prepared for them to be the worst defense in the NFL. But also with that and showing how bad the Bengals are, you're also leaving off that, oh, yeah, the NFL sack leader and Trey Hendrickson has been hurt for the last 5 weeks of football. So it's like you could say those things and throw out those numbers, but that would be like me talking about a Bills defense without Shaq Thompson. Like nobody, as soon as I would say that, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that would be me citing, like when I heard some of your stuff, this week. You would cite information from the Bengals early in the season, but do those numbers support that with Hancock in the lineup? Does that support that with Shaq Thompson in the lineup? See, I do my work, so I know exactly what I'm up against. And see, what happens is people don't do their homework on the Bengals, so they just use the numbers in a totality format, and they leave off all the details that I just said in order to make a point. That why would I leave off T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are literally the cheat code that you need in a playoff format. There's going to be an a-hole in the comments and say, well, you guys don't make the play. Yeah, my quarterback was hurt. If he's healthy, I'm thinking I got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Even when I was down 21-3 to Mahomes, I was able to get back because of those. Yeah. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase isn't because Joe Burrow needs it. It's because when you have an entity like you're saying, you give him the best resources that you possibly can in order for him to succeed. If you don't give him those resources, then you're failing him, correct?
True. But like how I look at it as well, right? Like you and I at the beginning of the season, we were just like, hey, you know what? Like let's put something up for ante, like for this game, Bills and Bengals. And I said, look, if the Bengals end up beating the Buffalo Bills, then I will wear a Burrow jersey, for example. And then you came back and you said, but, and yes, I'm still happy with that. I am going to be out of town this upcoming week, so I will have to grab a Burrow jersey afterwards, what have you. But first off, we're winning, so it, just won't matter. Anyway, number two, like we were having that conversation and you said, yeah, but like we need an injury clause right in this conversation, because what if one of our two guys goes down? That's where I'm coming from right now. Like it's basically self-inflicted wounds when you put up that much of your salary cap in between three players. And we've seen what all three of those players look like collectively when they are going off. Joe Burrow went crazy last year, right? 5,000 yards, should have won the MVP. Say, for example, that his team actually was a winning franchise, made the playoffs. I completely acknowledge that. But we've seen what those three look like, and ultimately that equaled 9-8, right? Like where your defense was ultimately giving up an exceptional amount of points. So I think that there runs risks with that. It's a feast and famine type approach. So are you hoping that this formula maintains going into next offseason? Because when I look at Joe Burrow, right, like this is a dude that is on pace for winning comeback player of the year 3 times in his career, which is not something I think that anybody should be excited about, right? I know your offensive line has been looking good for the past couple of weeks. I will acknowledge that. But is this the formula that you hope this organization maintains, or are you hoping that you kind of shift your perspective now that you have your 3 guys locked down going into 2027?
I think the hope is that these early first-round picks and guys like Shamar Stewart that aren't there right now come back and then they do what they're supposed to do. I'm not banking on hope of 5th, 6th, 7th UD. It's not like I'm sitting there saying like, man, maybe they'll just figure it out. Like, no, these are premium picks. So like, to bail on that to me is just insane. The plan is to get yourself in a competitive situation like what we're currently in right now. And then when it's time to go put those weapons out against somebody, go let those weapons go do what they do. The defense has stepped up recently. I think they played well. I don't think they played offense. It's debatable. I think the Ravens offense is, depending on what metrics you subscribe to, we did really good against them. But
they're awful this year, and so I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with Lamar right now. Yeah, and so I don't know what's wrong with Lamar.
It still switches. Derrick Henry's still 1,000-yard rusher. He's got 991 yards already. You still got one of the most electric players in the NFL in Lamar Jackson. So there's no way to diminish like what the Bengals defense did against that team. Like no matter what you try. I get it, but it's just not possible. It's still top 10 EPA per play with the Baltimore Ravens this season. The Bengals, since the bye, have changed a lot of different things that they've done, and I think that those things have helped us out. But the plan moving forward is making sure that those guys that you pick early start to come into form and then they play and they ball out, and then we go and fill in holes in free agency like we just did. Now, we did. You talked about free agency this offseason. We did sign TJ Slayton, who was the number 1 rush defense run stopping defender in the NFL in the 2024 season. Yeah. So you did add that. You did add depth with Warren Burks, who played a crucial role for the Eagles for last year against the Commanders and different things like that. So you did add pieces like that. You also added depth pieces and multiple pieces like Noah Fant that can add to the offense and add to the run game. The Bengals hadn't had a run game throughout this whole entire Joe Burrow era. And
it's been
for
good
the first time, been very good. Top 3 since Joe Flacco was there. Number 1 EPA per play run offense. You could say, they don't run as much, but we don't need to because we have Joe Burrow who takes care of the football. And I think they're starting to put together a really solid plan for the first time ever, have a legit offensive line and have a legit rushing game.
Mm-hmm. So somebody came in with a super chat, and I'm actually curious to hear your thoughts on this. Why did Cincy feel the need to scapegoat Lou? First off, thoughts on L. Golden, like number 1. And like my theory with this defense, like I never really thought that it was Lou, and granted, right? Like I try to cover all of the NFL, but obviously I put most of my energy right into unpacking all of the advanced stuff from Buffalo. Right. But my initial theory was that the problem, especially comparing that Super Bowl defense over in Cincinnati, they had an electric playoff that year. Like that was a very good reason why you guys were able to like make the jump, right? Lost a lot of your key personnel, right? Like with Bates was gone, and a variety of guys right in that second level. I always thought that personnel. So I always thought that personnel was the Cincinnati Bengals defensive problem, and it wasn't a defensive coordinator. Now that you see Lou is having this Colts defense playing at a relatively high level, I'm not so sure how it's looked for the past couple of games. I think it's more of Daniel Jones just pissing down his leg. But how did you feel about the whole departure of Lou Anarumo? Was it personnel, or would you say that it was play calling?
To me, I thought it was Lou's reluctance to play the young guys. So front office has to marry the actual scheme of what the coordinators are trying to do. The coordinator and Lou had a very complex system that the young guys he didn't trust to run. So guys like Myles Murphy, Joseph Osai, and stuff like that, they were limited on their snaps. You got older guys that have no business even been in the league, like Sam Hubbard, still out there with Lou. And so the front office is at a conundrum now because they're saying, hold up, why are we drafting all of these high draft picks? Y'all got to go look at the Bengals, like the defense conversation. 68% of their draft picks have been defense. Yeah. So like that's their plan. That's what the Eagles' plan is. They're just executing it better. That's what the Rams' plan is. It's just they're executing it better. Like nobody sells the Rams that, hey, man, you shouldn't get Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. No, they drafted well. And their defense is doing really well. And at some point now, they're going to have to go pay some of those defensive guys. Now the conversation will shift, but that's the goal. That's what the Bengals are trying to do. Yeah. If they didn't have a T. Higgins in the building, I mean, they would just go draft more wide receivers and do it all again. We draft wide receivers at a high clip. Yeah. If you chase the history of the Cincinnati Bengals, and looking at Mike Brown and his son and all these different things that are introducing different variations of the West Coast offense and everything that comes with it, the totality of the Bengals is predicated on fans like myself cheering for Eddie Brown, cheering for Ocho Cinco, TJ Houshmandzadeh, AJ Green, whoever you want to name that you remember. It's a long history of wide receivers, and they do that very well, and they're not going to stop doing that. But in addition to that, I think somewhere along the line, the trenches fell off. And for the first time in a long time, now the trenches are coming back. And I think that the trenches are looking a lot better. You talked about the offensive line for the last couple of weeks. I would say the offensive line since
it's solid in run pro. It's solid in run pro. And like I'd say that it's showing some improvements with pass pro as well. And even if you were struggling against that, with all the injuries that Buffalo has on their defensive line, I really don't think pressure is going to be much of a factor for Burrow on Sunday because, I mean, shit, dude. Like, we have been rotating, like, rookie defensive tackles taking snaps out of the edge. So it's I don't think pressure is really going to be much of a factor, especially when you consider that Joe Burrow is, like, number one in pressure against all last year in 2024. So we're going to have to rely on the secondary. Say that you had to put
that's a tall task.
Yeah. Say that you would have had to put blame like anywhere within the organization, right? Like when it comes into maybe these rookies not developing as fast as some of the rookies we see over in Philadelphia or we would ultimately end up seeing in LA. Would you put it more on Al Golden or Lou, or would you put it on the Bengals scouting department? Like something's got to give here. Like what's the answer behind this?
I think life is about opportunity. And if you don't have opportunities to show your worth, like how can you really, do it? And I think that for our young players on defense, for the first time, they're actually getting a chance to show it. So the jury's still out on a Myles Murphy and a Joseph Osai and company and all these guys like Chris Jenkins and guys that I'm naming, but they have to have the opportunity to do so. So we're still like in an evaluation period for it. Like at the same time, we recognize that we're 4-8. But a lot of the story is the defense had to go and maturate through a lot of different stuff. And I think for the last 3 weeks, I think we're seeing finally this is what they should look like, right? Even without Trey Hendrickson, I think now the opportunities for a guy like Joseph Osai and Myles Murphy, for instance, those are guys that have 17 pressures in the last 3 weeks. Yeah. So it's like, in my mind, they never were given that opportunity before. So it's hard to say. Lou, you could say, just was reluctant to play those guys. I thought he should have mixed them in. I think it's also partly Tobin. When you look at the board and some of the guys that he's drafted versus who I would have took. Remember, the Bengals, I was one of the guys, I think, remember the Bengals wanted Kincaid. And I think that is that the year that we drafted Miles Murphy or somebody. I know it's a
I
Bengals
think
fan
Miles
somewhere.
Murphy was in that class.
I think it
I
was
believe
that
so.
one, and then after that, I wanted Mayer. I wanted Michael Mayer, but then we drafted Mims, who I think Mims is like the most underrated offensive lineman in football right now. I really do. But like some of the guys that I want, just like any other fan, I think some of the guys that I want, they didn't get, and so subconsciously, I'm always like, "Dag, like." When is Dax Hill really going to, like do what I want him to do? When is, you know what I mean? Like they're not playing at the level that I think a Pro Bowl level outside of DJ Turner, who I guess we'll talk about like at some point. But I think DJ Turner is probably playing the best cornerback play I've seen here in Cincinnati in a very long time. So it's a mix, man. It's a mix.
So has there ever been like any evidence of somebody in the front office having an ego about them to where they're bringing guys in from college that aren't particularly a scheme fit based off of what the Bengals like to run, where they draft them thinking that, we'll develop him to be that guy? Because I would say that has been some of the criticisms of Brandon Beane, at least for a couple of players, like with Keon Coleman, for example, or for like Kyrie Elam, for example. Both of those dudes were not a scheme fit for this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of that has to do with like how he hasn't been necessarily been able to hit on a lot of like first round picks. Is that something similar over in Cincinnati? So like, are there a couple of players on your team that like you think were the completely wrong pick and it just sort of boiled down into your coaching staff having an ego thinking that they could make them transition into the scheme that you wanted to run?
Yeah, I feel like that Shamar Stewart being probably the best example of it.
Yeah.
I think I question his desire. When we get to draft time, I'm a little weird and unorthodox. I like to watch interviews and I like to see how players talk about football. I'm a really good judge of character. And I think even coming into the season, I questioned his desire to play football. And I thought like the whole holding out for a $200,000 advance, and then the teammates. Yeah, I saw your comment. You're like, yeah, the Bengals can't pay him. No, this.
So we had his dad on. I was riding with that, man.
But this dude was an idiot. Like, he went past everybody telling them what he should do. Comes in as a Chiefs fan, like beforehand, which makes no difference once you get drafted. Like, you're going to go with the team that, you like. But I've watched this stuff where he's saying, like, I'm rocking with the Chiefs for, like, the last couple of years. You know what I mean? So, like, maybe subconsciously, maybe he didn't want to be a Bengal. I don't know. And then he gets there and he's like, yeah, I'm not sure they want to win. So I'm like a rookie telling NFL professionals that they don't want to win and all this stuff. Like, who does this dude think he is? And then you had players say, like, hey, look, like Mims was like, hey, look, bro, we need you. And he's not playing. And then he didn't get any more money. The rookie scale is already created. All he did was like get an extra check of $200K. And then as a result, he goes 1 month behind, right? And now look at him. He's been dinged up the whole entire year because I feel like his body wasn't in the right shape to even be out there to play in that atmosphere. I mean, we'll never know. But I think that guy, like from a production standpoint, and just the attitude, whatever, they didn't even have that many pre-draft visits with a guy like that. I think the Bengals were arrogant enough to say we could take the highest RAS score, and because that's what he had. I guess they're going off our RAS scores. We could take the highest.
Jackson. And so did Landon Jackson. Look how that worked out.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Look, I do. Yeah, I had a guy that came on our show. He was talking, and I'm really more into this now. I forgot the name of it. But it goes through the actual analytics of guys actual playing, not at the combine. Like, what is your playing speed? What is your processing speed? And I'm more into that. RAS scores or whatever. I guess the Bengals were saying, hey, look, we're going to just take this guy, barely even met with him. He's going to work. And that's one thing that I hate that the Bengals do, especially defensively, is they'll take on projects. Now, they will take on a project like Andre Yoshivas, who barely even has like a football background. He's an Olympian.
So when was he drafted?
He was drafted in the fourth. No. Yoshivas was drafted in the 6th.
See, those rounds, I'm fine with projects. I'm fine with projects in the 6th round.
I'm fine with
I'm good.
I'm fine with the Bengals' skill positions. I'll trust them. Even look at Chase Brown. Chase Brown is a 5th-round running back. I'll trust the Bengals with skill positions projects all day. I won't trust the Bengals defensively on anything that's a project round 1 through 7. Like, I don't trust them at all. And I think that's what they have continuously done with guys like, you might even like Marcus Hunt. There are guys that have like these measurables. They're looking for a type, and they just never really pan out for me. And when I look at this draft with Shamar Stewart on the board, I thought a guy like Will Johnson was there. Walter Nolan got taken right before us. I wanted Walter Nolan. But then the number one guy, I went on Bleacher Report, I went everybody. I said, man, let's go draft Jahad Campbell. When we ended up drafting linebackers, but Jahad Campbell was a guy I knew that we would need. They didn't do it, but I think that's what happens to all fans. It's like, it's a nice guy you like, though. and then you don't get him. He's been cool. He's cool.
Nice looking good.
He's cool. He's part of the reason why the Bengals are historically one of the worst defenses in the NFL is because him and his buddy Barrett Carter have missed a crap ton of tackles. And so all of those tackles missed. I think he's getting better, and they're using him primarily on 3rd down. But, that's part of the reason, the growing pains of that. And then now, early in the season, Al wouldn't even let them blitz. Now they're going from the lowest blitzing team to the last couple of weeks now being at the highest points of the NFL of blitzing. So now it's just these levels to defense, and there's levels to drafting, and it's just, as a fan, when you're losing, everything gets magnified and you want these guys to play better, but you got to be also realistic. Like, some of this takes time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and position too. I'm gonna tell you, linebacker and tight end to me are 2 positions that I just think you got to get NFL. Like, you could be in college in shape and be a beast, but getting in the NFL, you got these guys diving at your legs, and you're 6'5", 6'6". Tight end is by no coincidence, it's one of the most injured positions in the NFL, and it's one of the hardest ones. You could be a receiving tight end. You still have to learn how to break to get to the end of your route on corners and linebackers, and you still got to know how to block in the NFL at a consistent level. And to me, the time frame for that to happen, it takes time, and linebackers no different.
Yeah. Well, so I think this is probably a good time to transition right over into the preview, and so our predictions of what we think is going to happen out on the field. And so I'm not sure if you're on the same page, but I really think that this is going to be a game where this is an easy over. And so I think both teams are easily going to score over 30. So it's really going to go about. Yeah, I do.
I don't.
Yeah, I really, really do. All right. Well, then we'll certainly end up getting into it. So one of the keys is being to stop this Buffalo Bills offense, right? And then I have been unpacking the numbers, and it's tough to do, especially since you really can't go off of passing EPA or advanced metrics from the Bengals in 2025 because we've only seen, with Joe, played 2 games and a half. So we really don't understand where they're coming from, what they like to run. So all you can really base your analysis off of is who they are as in offense. Starting off with the run game, as far as this Buffalo Bills attack, with James Cook, he is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Last week was ultimately just spamming the exact same man duo concept against the Steelers. I don't think that's going to be something in which that this Bills team is going to do. I think that we're going to get back into what has made this Buffalo Bills offense so successful. What's been wildly frustrating is a lot of the fan base is just trying to throw Joe Brady under the bus as far as his play calling is specifically. I think a lot of it has to do with because most Bills fans are incapable of being able to criticize Josh Allen when he is hurting the team. They will pull up 7 to 8 other examples of why the offense is not working, and Josh Allen is always the very least problem, right?
Absolutely. Isn't that any NFL team though that has a star quarterback?
Dude, it is funny, man. Listen, he is always the least responsible for it. But when you look at the Buffalo Bills offense, right? We are literally the exact same metrically. Okay. The only difference is that we have seen a significant uptick in coughing the football up and turning the football over. That is the largest reason. Some people will come out and say, oh, Dan, listen, watch the film. First off, I do. And you don't watch film. You watch people watch film who pick up 6 plays from each and every single game, which is about 10 to 15% of every single offense that you see. And you're riding with whoever tells you what it is. What do you think advanced metrics and data is, folks? It is people watching film every single snap, though, from every single corner, based off of what the formation was, based off of against a specific defensive coverage. The data I trust more than somebody that pulls 7 plays from film and puts it on YouTube, okay? That tells more of a story. But what Buffalo does as an offense is their identity of taking everything that's underneath, right? Like that boring, slow wintertime and December football. I wish we had Joe Brady during that playoff game that we ultimately ended up having a couple of years ago, because we had 4 Verts Dorsey. All right. And 4 Verts Dorsey, that looked great in September and October. But when you end up getting into like these like awful climates, it's shit. It's not going to work. So what I think Buffalo is going to leverage, while the defense has been looking good over at Cincinnati as far as turnovers are concerned, I still think that there are some weaknesses. I am praying Dalton Kincaid is able to play, because the Bengals are letting up close to like 94.5 yards on average against tight ends. They are also not that great in being able to stop running backs in the pass game. They are also not that great in stopping slot receivers. We just so happen to have some of the best players at those positions, in which that the Cincinnati Bengals have a hard time guarding. Same thing with Yak, and that goes into your missed tackle problems. And Buffalo certainly has shown the exact same problem on the defensive side of the football. So if Josh Allen can get back to his boring, taking what the defense gives you and underneath, there's way too many opportunities in our tight ends getting open and hurting this defense. There are way too many opportunities in Khalil Shakir being able to create yards after the catch. There's way too many opportunities for this running game to not only run against this defense, but also hurt them in the pass game. I just need Josh Sim to take care of the damn football. That is the key. If Josh can go out there and not cough the football up, or anybody cough the football up, I don't think that there is a way that the Bengals can stop the Bills' offense from putting up 40. Yes. I genuinely believe that.
See, the contradiction that I'm hearing, though, to me is like this, and I don't think Bills fans are saying this to be disrespectful, or maybe they are. I'm not sure. On one end, it's like, okay, Josh Allen is at the top of the league in turnovers with 12, right? And on one hand, I'm hearing, okay, let's just run the football with James Cook, and let's control the clock and keep Joe Burrow off the field. Then I hear something like you just said, like, yeah, we're going to score 40. I just don't see how that works, in the sense of, if you're controlling the clock, and that's why I think the game will be a lower scoring game. Okay. I think 27, 24, 20, something in that frame. I don't think 30, because even if the Bengals were to get a lead, they're not going to try to like run it up. Like they're just not that type of team. So what I was saying is, like, if you control the clock, in theory, in a perfect scenario, I just want everybody to share a different perspective, because I know it's a lot of Bills fans in here, right? In a perfect scenario, you're controlling the clock, you're running the ball, you're doing all these different things. The one thing that you're not hearing a Bengals fan say is that we're trying to hand the ball off to Chase Brown, or we're trying to be conservative, or we're trying to hold the ball. And the reason why is because in a matchup like this, we're putting the ball in our best player's hands, and we're living with that. And if he turns the ball over, he hasn't thrown a pick all year, but he's only played 2.5 games. Yeah. But if he were to turn the ball over or something like that, there's nothing about it that makes me feel like Joe Burrow wouldn't come back into the game. For instance, I've seen him come back 100 times, right? And in the same game, you were just talking about how they punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. He was down 21-3. Yes, a lot of people like to talk about the defense, but no, I think Joe Burrow was the catalyst for winning that game. And that's on the road in a high impact area. So this concept of, I'm going to run the football, keep him off the field, that will work to me for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, or somebody that has a crappy offense. You know that the other team is coming back to bomb. And the dilemma that I think will happen is this. if that run doesn't hit on first down that you're trying to control the clock with, now you're in a situation where the Bengals are now going to show you like 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. That's what we show Lamar Jackson. It's the same thing we're about to show you. Yeah. When you get to those spots, we're going to say, okay, you said you wanted to run the football. Go run the football on second and whatever with 8 men in the box. If that run doesn't hit, now you're forced to throw on third and long. So in a perfect scenario, yes, running the football could work. But to me, the only way that running the football solely or controlling the clock solely will work is if you had a 10-plus point lead on the Bengals, which I think in theory is what most Bills fans are like, yeah, Joe Burrow's just going to go 3 and out, and then Bills are going to get the ball.
No, I wouldn't say that.
We're going to control the clock.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a lead, you're not going to have – I'm just letting you know right now.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the ability to run like that. And you got to think, the one thing that makes Josh Allen a special quarterback, or the one thing that you can hang your hat on this season when you play the Chiefs or when you play the Ravens or any of your marquee matchups, the one catalyst is Josh Allen has to be great. And the reason why he has to be great is because the person he's looking at across the field. And exactly. that's the difference to me. You can afford let's say it's 2nd and 10 against the Steelers. Run the ball again. Who cares? You're flipping field position because you know that the other team can't score on you. The difference is if you did that to Joe Burrow, I think he's shown you in the past, and I think he'll show you like coming up this Sunday that he's not looking to just hold the ball, and we're not just looking to run the football, and we're not interested in that type of game, and they're interested in pushing the ball down the field. Even with Chase Brown coming off of 6 straight 100-yard games, which I don't think is getting talked about enough at all.
No. He's definitely doing his thing. So a lot of Bills fans are probably going out and saying that's going to be the game plan, is trying to keep Joe Burrow off of the field. But that game script completely gets flipped on its face once you end up seeing how fast this passing offense over in Cincinnati can score. I think that might be the game plan for maybe the first couple of drives from Buffalo. But once you end up seeing Joe Burrow march down the field, I genuinely believe that that's when we need to have a pass-first type offense. No, I do not want to see Josh Allen throwing piss missiles all downfield 20 yards because I don't trust our personnel on the perimeters. I don't.
He's gonna have to.
I really don't. However,
I think he's gonna have to, or he's gonna have to, or he's gonna have to run himself.
Yeah. He's gonna have to do that or whatnot, or like with Brandon Cooks, like being like more in tune with the playbook. I mean, he's no Chase or Higgins or anything like that, but he does have the best vertical route tree that we have on this team. Hopefully, he has enough, like some far routes downfield, some in breakers, what have you. He's one of the best, like wide out like type route runners right in the league. So hopefully that's something with it. But as far as how I think that this Bills defense can go on ahead and take, so I think this Bills defense is going to force Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals offense to be pass first. I think at the beginning of the game, I think that Cincinnati is going to want to really incorporate Chase Brown. But for the most part, I do like what Buffalo has been doing against the run for the past couple of weeks. Shaq Thompson has been a game changer for us. I love Terrell Bernard, but he's hurt. It's very hard for me to give or take away more snaps from Shaq since he's been such a godsend for it, especially because with your run game, for the most part, it's really 2-dimensional. Y'all run a lot of inside zone and y'all run a lot of man pull leads, like power schemes, not a lot of outside zone whatsoever. Also with Cincinnati, which first off is shocking to me. Last year, Joe Burrow finished 34th in play action rate. Dude hates play action.
Yeah. He hates his back to the defense.
He hates play action. So I think that Buffalo is actually going to do pretty good at stopping Chase Brown. I think that forces Burrow to go on ahead and transition over into the pass game. As much as I can go out and say, look, what I can do is strategize how to hold Jamar Chase to 80, right? Rather than 150. Most wide receivers you talk about, your goal is to shut them out, right? 2 receptions for 30. With Jamar Chase, your best case is 8 receptions for 80 yards, 9 receptions for 80. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that any day of the week. How Buffalo can do that and limit the bleeding, bracket, I guess. He's still going to find space. He's still going to win in man coverage. But when it comes into slight differences, and Zim, listen, I am acknowledging that he will destroy brackets, all right? I am acknowledging that he's going to hurt us a hell of a lot more on one-on-one man, okay? So if I could limit him to 80 yards, sign me up any day of the week. But then, of course, you have T. Higgins. Why I'm going into this and why I'm transitioning back into this offense, I think that what the Bills are going to have to do is pass the football. But rather than downfield, take advantage of the yak machines that you have on this team. Stress those linebackers, make explosive plays, and capitalize on those third down like opportunities and red zone opportunities. You're muted, bro.
I agree, man. I just think that if you bracket Jamar Chase, like Benford has to play the greatest game of his life.
He's been shadowing like wide receiver number ones. I still think that with Chase is going to win more than he loses, but but yeah,
I just think if you're saying, okay, I'm gonna take out Jamar Chase, okay, then here comes Mike Gesicki, here comes Chase Brown out the backfield, and then here comes T. Higgins with a one-on-one against Tre'Davious White. In my mind, what I think is I look at every single game and I look at all these different matchups and I say, okay, what can we do to exploit different things, or what can the other team exploit, right? The same way I feel about Chase Brown and Jamar Chase and company, I feel that way about your tight ends. But if Dalton Kincaid is not 100%, I don't know how strong I feel about that. As far as like even the run game, the Bills are 30th in run defense EPA per play. The Bengals are 31st in defense EPA per play. The Bills run offense is second in EPA per play, but the Bengals run offense is third in EPA per play. So it's like you have like some of those things that normally you probably walk into the matchup, you say, yeah, the Bills, like, we should just run all over them. I think the Bengals have a good shot of running as well. And then when I go into anything like tackling wise, the same thing. The Bills have a lower tackling grade on PFF. I don't know if you subscribe to that. I look at all different types of metrics, but the Bills have a missed tackle rate of 15.4. The Bengals have it at 13.7. Who is the leading NFL yards receiver in the NFL? It's Jamar Chase. So when I think about all these,
number 2 or 3 is Khalil, I'm pretty sure too.
I'm not sure.
Number 2 or 3 is Shakir, I want to say. So it's equal strengths, right? It's equal strength, which is interesting.
I think I don't think it's equal. I think that the Bengals kind of have some things that I think that they can exploit like in that matchup, because T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow, although I know a lot of people are like, well, these guys suck. This is only their second game they played together this whole season. When they play together, they're a very different team, and I like their offense. The offensive line has been grading out at a very, very high rate as well too. So it's like, I'm looking at the matchups that I think that the Bengals can win. I'm looking at the matchups that the Bills can win. I think that there's a lot to be said about the Bills running on the Bengals, and I think that's very possible. But they need to score, and running on them isn't just that's not enough to me. It's like you need to score. Like what happened in the Steelers game last week, that was a tight matchup in the first half of that football game. They need to go and cook up like early, because Joe Burrow's not going to be like the Steelers were last week. And the Bengals run defense in the last 3 weeks, Travion Henderson, 39 yards, Derrick Henry, 60 yards, Jalen Warren or whatever, Jalen Warren for the Steelers, 62 yards. So since the bye, the Bengals have done pretty good against the run defense, and I think that they've come with different looks. They're now running more of a bare front with 5 up front, showing you 7 and 8 at the defensive line. And I think that, to me, it dares teams to say, okay, let's run. It's hard to run into a 7-8 man box. It's putting the pressure on you guys to say, okay, let's get it to those guys in a one-on-one matchups. Okay, DJ Turner versus Shakir. DJ Turner has been the third ranked cornerback in all of football this whole entire season. So I like my chances on that one. I like Dax Hill versus Keon Coleman. I like, or whoever.
You're not going to be seeing him though. It's Gabe Davis now. Yeah.
Gabe Davis, Keon Coleman, Brandon Cooks. I like Dax Hill against that matchup. The one matchup I think you guys can exploit, if he is there, is Kincaid or Knox in the tight end matchup. The Bengals, as you pointed out, have been giving up over 94 yards. Even Isaiah Likely, who is complete, he hasn't been good this year. He had 95 yards last week. So I think that, to me, the main thing is going to have to be Josh processing what he sees at the line of scrimmage when they show him 7-8 men box, and then figuring out, is this guy coming or is he going? And then he's going to have to use his legs, and he's going to have to be an amazing quarterback. The conservative effort of running the football, in theory, I think it works against a pedestrian team and a pedestrian quarterback. This is not one of them. You can say that the Bengals defense is ass. Cool. I agree. But their offense is not.
Yeah. And so I think what you're going to see out of Buffalo is a shit ton of heavy man sets, like a lot of 13 a lot of 12-man personnel. Like, we love our tight ends. I really hope that Dalton Kincaid is out there because he has been by and far, when healthy, like the best pass catcher on this team. But really, at the end of the day, man, like, we just need this team. Like, so here's how it is. Like, I genuinely believe that this is going to be one of those games where both fan bases are walking away saying, wow, our defenses are historically awful. I genuinely think it's going to be one of those games. My final score prediction is 41-38 Buffalo. And so I think that we're going to have Old Man Prater kick a game winner, okay, with a couple of seconds left on the clock.
How's he been looking lately on those extra points?
He's been missing some extra points as of late. But, okay. I mean, like, we've like 110% like wanted to commit to him because we put Bass on the season-ending IR. A lot of Bills fans are actually happy about that. But yeah, man.
Evan McPherson went 6 for 6 last week. He's on fire.
All right, man. You have them special teams, dude. Listen, special teams is a slept-on portion of the damn game. How are y'all with, like, field position? Yeah. How are y'all with, like, starting field position and everything along those lines? Are there like any concerns or celebrations for that unit, or what?
No, punter flips the field pretty good. Ryan Rico, I don't know if you guys know him. He's the number one punter, I guess, in football. I don't know if that's a good thing for us, but in terms of like just punting, like he's one of the better punters in the NFL. As far as like coverage team, I think they're probably middle. They probably grade up about middle of the pack. Haven't let up a big, touchdown or anything like that, but like they're decent coverage. We got a huge boost. Guy Shaka Hayward's coming back this week, who's also a special team guy. Oren Burks, guys like that we really want on the special teams. They're out there, so I think that's another matchup. I just think it's like I don't know. I like my chances with that. Evan McPherson's been booting the crap out of the football lately. Like he had a 63-yarder, 50-something yarder. He had a 67 that got called off that he made. So like I like us in the special teams department as well.
Yeah. Well, hell, man. So I think we might as well go on ahead and transition over into our final score prediction and a hot take for the game. And so I'm going to go over to you.
Hot take. I don't know if this is that hot. This is going to sound a little crazy to you.
All right.
The type of running backs that have killed us this season look more like Ray Davis. And I'm more fearful of a bruising style running back than actual James Cook. I know people were like, "Are you crazy? James Cook is it?" Yeah, but I could see Ray Davis coming out there bowling through people and knocking guys like on their ass like a million times. We played Monungai for the Bears, who's a lot of similarities. He ran all over us. I think like I'm very fearful of him, and I'm also in what's his name? Your third down running back.
Ty Johnson.
Ty Johnson, him out the backfield against those linebackers that have been missing all those tackles. I think that, to me, I'm more fearful of that than James Cook. And I know that's going to sound crazy, but those are the type of running backs that have hurt the Bengals throughout the season. Whereas I think the guys like Travion Henderson, who just ran for 30-something yards, like we played the Patriots 2 weeks ago. Flacco was awful in that game. The Bengals lost 26-20. And the Patriots didn't look that as comfortable. I just watched the Patriots manhandle the Giants. The Bengals didn't have any problem. Like, go watch a condensed version of the Patriots-Bengals game against him. Tight ends get off, but the Travion Henderson runs and all that stuff with the new fronts, they just weren't hitting. I feel like the bruising backs are the guys that give the Bengals problems for sure.
Okay. All right. For me, like I said, I have 41-38. I think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think that the NFL is going to regret flexing this to the 1:00 slate. I think that they are going to wish that they kept it at the 4:25. For sure. Hot take for me. So with Josh Allen and this Bills offense does not commit a single turnover. And that's more of a manifestation.
Okay.
And for the love of all that is holy, man, lock it in. Oh, and
I got another hot take with that one.
And we hold Chase to less than 100, which is not really something to brag about, but with Chase it is.
If you keep Chase under 100, that means that T. Higgins is going to have over 100. And I also have another hot take. I think that I think that Josh Allen could have 0 turnovers and still lose by double digits.
Oh, all right.
He could.
Oh, all right. All right.
I do. I don't think I think that we don't play each other that much. I think the Bills look at Mahomes like Josh Allen's got to step it up and do it. I feel like y'all should be feeling the same way against Joe Burrow and company.
Well, one thing is good is like really like out of all of our like marquee wins this year, it's been against somebody that has like a elite quarterback, right?
Yeah.
It's been one of those. So, I mean, we're hoping, right?
I think field position, conservative play calling, holding the ball, I think you reserve those for games for teams that don't have an elite quarterback. This is a game that when the schedules came out, I get it. The quarterbacks don't play each other, but it was Josh Allen is better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's better than Josh Allen, and we're here. I think Josh Allen has to be incredible to win this game. Yeah. Remember, I said that they could have no turnovers and lose by double digits, or it could be Josh Allen going crazy. But I don't think that a conservative play call and Josh Allen not having turnovers, like I heard that the last time. Like to me, that's not the key. The key is him running, getting yards 50 plus on the ground, him running dedicated runs, doing that crazy Josh Allen stuff. That's how you win the game. It won't be James Cook running for 140. I don't think that that's enough. I think that Josh Allen has to go throw for over 240. He has to run for over 50. And then he could win. And then the Bills could win handsomely. I think the Bills can cook up like that. But I think he has to be really good because Joe Burrow at no point is going to imagine a score being 10-7. You're like, yeah, we're just going to hold the ball. We're going to run the football. Yeah, Joe Burrow's going to be like, yeah, check this out. We're going to throw it. And it's going to be Jamar Chase forcing. He'll throw 20 times to Jamar Chase if you're not tackling correctly. So, like, at any moment, they could break the game like that. They're not going to allow to do that. My score prediction is a little bit high, a little bit lower. I got Bengals 27, Bills 23.
Okay. All right. That's fair, man. That is fair. Like, really, how I look at this game, man, I think that it's going to come down to who wins the turnover battle, right? Like, who wins the turnover battle is ultimately going to be it. And as much as I'm wanting my guys to prove me that they can get back to 2024, then in my eyes, if Cincinnati doesn't take the football away at least twice, I don't see them winning in Buffalo because outside, like right outside of that Patriots game where, again, we shot ourselves in the foot 3 times. And by the way, and so I'm not sure what your thoughts are and so about the Patriots this year from an outside perspective. Because a lot of Bills fans are very upset about it, right? And I mean, rightfully so. Like, we want to win the division. We hate them, something like that. But, like, there's no question of the parity of the NFL right now. It's almost like, and it's not true, but it's almost like that having an elite quarterback is meaningless based off of how the playoffs are looking on the AFC, right? You have, so the Colts that are on top of their division, have the Patriots once again. You had the Steelers and the Ravens going back and forth. Who is truly a good team in the AFC?
I like the Texans. I like the Texans a lot. I think that the Texans present a real problem, much like how you were talking about 2 weapons on offense with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson is a combination with that coordinator, that coaching scheme, and everything that comes with it. Nico Collins enough to make enough plays. That's literally the only team in the AFC that I think could hold the Bengals, like, from my perspective, under 20 points. I just don't see anybody outside of them doing it in the NFC. I like the Seahawks defense.
So they're awful outside, though. So they're awful in outside stadiums. So, like, while I think they could win the AFC South, I think that if, like, their first game's in Baltimore or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, I think that it's a lost cause.
I like Texans a lot, bro.
It's a good defense. Injuries are piling up, though. So massive injuries are piling up. Lassiter's gone.
Yeah. Do you trust? See, I think it comes down to this. I don't trust Herbert with a broken left hand on that on that one, right? No. I don't trust Bo Nix in like a big high octane game on the road or something. I think if he's at home, it could be a little dangerous. You get that crowd in that pass rush, cool, whatever. I think the Chiefs are up and down. You can never really count them out because of the championship pedigree.
And so if Houston takes them down, now it's done. It's over.
Then they're done. Okay, I think Texas beat them. I think Texas beat them.
Yeah,
but that's a team to me in a playoff atmosphere. I think more teams should be more fearful of the Chiefs because they've been there and done it before many times. regardless of what happens in the regular season. And I feel like that's the same way I feel about like the Bengals. Like Joe Burrow's 5-2 in the playoffs. When he gets to the playoffs, I like my chances against any of those teams that I just named. The Texans are the ones that I'm like, that's a tough game to me. Outside of that, I like the chances. If the Bengals were to win this game coming up this week, their chances to get the playoff are pretty high at that point. They just have to beat teams like Cardinals, Dolphins, Browns, and they punch their ticket. That's why you don't need this game, Dan. You need to just give the dub to us. Just move on along.
just give it to us.
Just give us the dub. Move out our way. You guys are still going to be in the playoffs. We'll see you later. Just let us get the dub. Like, don't make this like, get your guys healthy. Don't put Kincaid out there. Don't put any of those guys out there and, put them in harm's way. Just hand the whole Just hand the damn game to us. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we don't need to be doing all of this. Like, let's bring this show back to the playoffs. We don't need to be fighting over like any of that stuff. Just let us in. And then, we'll just
so it's
go
funny
in.
to say that too.
We don't need to earn it. Just hand it to us, right?
It's funny because of so when it comes down into the playoff path, and so path matters, right?
Right. Yeah.
I would absolutely love for the Bills to be the 6th seed, and our first game is going down to Duval and playing Jacksonville. That would be a dream for me.
Yeah.
Just going ahead. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's predictable he's going to have that cast on that left hand, just how Aaron Rodgers was. I thought he looked awful in the beginning of the game. Aaron Rodgers has looked awful for over a month. If you really go look at his splits, it's like 120, 117, 120. You know what I'm saying? He's not throwing for
like he's
cooked.
He's unable to go under center anymore. So it's only pistol. And
so that's what happened to Bro, because he's got the same thing on his left hand. It's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. And half of why I think that the LA Chargers might not win another game. And they might not win another game for the rest of the season.
Who takes their spot?
I think the Chiefs sneak into the 7th seed, dude.
You just told me that they're probably done.
No, if Houston beats them, say that Houston beats them, but
Houston's gonna beat them.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Houston's gonna beat them.
Yeah, we'll see. Listen, man, I have made a career of doubting the Chiefs, dude. I've been looking dumb for a while.
I'm telling you, Texans are the most slept on team in football, in my opinion. I really think so. Yeah, that defense is nasty. There aren't any nasty defenses left in the NFL that you really go into a game and say, like, what are we about to do? Like, I don't know, man. I think that they're one of the nastiest defenses in football, if not the best. So I think that they got the answers for Mahomes, honestly. And then I look at Stingley in that matchup, like on the back end, like, oh my, like, man. Yeah, I like that roster, at least defensively.
It's going to be interesting. Folks, I need you to go on ahead and follow Zim over on Twitter at ZimWhoDay. All right. Now, do know he does love talking his shit. All right. So a trigger warning indeed. However, he's very informative. He is well-researched. He puts a lot of work into his takes. He's the Bengals representative over at Roundtable Sports, AFC North Roundtable. He does a great job over there. Go follow him. Zim, what do you got to say to the audience right before we let him go?
I just appreciate the opportunity to come and talk ball with you, man. I know, like,
I'm not that bad, am I, bro?
Your videos make me sick. I can't stand it. I told Z-Bot, he was like, man, that's what Dan wants. So I was like, I think he does, man. So you're like, yeah, man, I think you think like my video. No, I think your videos are intentionally out to like piss me off. I really feel like that. Every single video you've ever made, I'm like, who is this guy?
Oh, man. Yeah.
If you feel that way about the way I feel about Dan, if y'all want to see videos of someone telling you that their team is good, not incredible, I'm your guy. And you can go and cook up on the lone Bengals guy that just thinks that they're still good. So here we are. And I think that the Bengals got a really good shot. I think it's very unfortunate Joe Burrow was hurt, and he's back. And as a Bengal fan, we feel really good that, we get T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow walking across that field together as captains, which we haven't seen. Let us have our damn moment. I'm so tired of everybody being like, oh, he's not available. He's hurt. Okay. He's here, and we're ready to go. And let us have that. Like, shit. Like, we just, like, golly. Like, let us have our stupid throw in the snow. Let us have that. Like, why can't we have a cool highlight? We always
have a cool highlight, man. Listen.
Have a cool highlight. like,
and
what's
so
the
despite
problem?
despite the fact that was an incomplete pass, super cool. Anyway, Dan is going to make another video right afterwards. No, man. I'm gonna go on ahead and I'm gonna chill, right? And so I'll chill a little bit. But then like 5 minutes later, Zim, like what you're gonna see is be like, folks, did you know that Joe Burrow was 4th in the NFL for checkdowns last year? That's it. He knows I do that.
Do you hear the voice? That voice, that when he switches to that voice, you're like, okay, here it comes. Here comes the BS.
All right, dude. Here it is. Here is cherry picking the stats. You know what I mean? I love it. Yeah. And so with Twitter and Instagram on my playground,
I like to look at both. Like I made a living when I was in spaces and stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that on Twitter.
Yeah.
But when I was in there, it's really breaking down every single matchup. Yeah. I know some people don't like when I'm breaking down actual factual numbers, but it is what it is. Like the only thing you can do is just, go out there and prove it. You think that I'm wrong or something? Okay, I'm not playing, but I'm just telling you what's actually transpiring. I thought some of the questions you were asking earlier too, I hope that gives people a little bit of insight. Like, oh, damn, you know what? They have drafted a shitload of people on defense. Like, that's probably the people they're trying to pay. Or you could just go with the national narrative that the Bengals are cheap and then don't listen. I don't know. So I leave my page open to open interpretation. I don't really have hot takes. I generally say, I think Jamar Chase is really good. These are the numbers that support that. And then it'll be like, but Justin Jefferson's way better. And I'll be like, I didn't even mention him. I think people
bring him in the conversation.
Yeah, people, the internet is like this. I like pancakes, and then there's always that guy that says, "What you got against waffles?" You know what I mean? So, that's the internet for me. So that's the
internet indeed. So to be honest with you, man, like I really don't even read comments anymore. To be honest with you,
I know you don't. I know you don't.
Part,
do you post and mute? Do you post and mute?
Yeah, like for the most part, right? Like, surprisingly enough, with Nick Wright, he is a super villain when it comes into Bills fans, but like he actually had like a really good take a couple of years ago where he was talking about how he doesn't as well, because he was just like, you know what? He said that all of the small dopamine hits that you get from the positive comments never outweigh one or two negative ones.
Right.
And that's kind of how I approached it. And plus, and this is something that I actually respect a lot from you, I've noticed a lot of people in the industry, mostly on the Bills side of things, that are so enamored with their online base that a lot of the times they end up structuring their takes in order to please the masses.
Right.
And that, in my opinion, makes them not stand out. I've seen a lot of Bills YouTubers try, and what they do is they just mimic exactly like what the popular take is, or like what like these national media guys are saying. Me, no. And so I'm not reading any negativity because I don't ever want to structure or like build my takes based off of what I think is going to be universally accepted, because
absolutely
I feel like I'm taking away from my audience.
Right. You probably, that's how I wake up. I wake up with 1,000 posts about how the Bengals are cheap. So then I'm like, well, let me see. And then I'll go and tell you, well, actually, Bengals are top spending at this. Actually, and so then everybody's like, get out of here, shut up with that. But I'm like, I'm just giving you, you know what I mean? Like, I'm researching all that. Imagine, and I never get into politics, but imagine you having like, those perspectives where you're just, I'm on the left or I'm on the right. And it doesn't matter what you show me. I won't be swayed. I won't look at any other information. To me, football discourse is a lot like that for a lot of people. I'm the opposite. Like you could show me something that shows that like I said, the Bills tight ends in this matchup. Like, okay, I think the Bills could cook up with that. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not like that. What happens though, and I think you've identified this too, is that so many people, especially during a game, those live tweets, oh, get this guy off my team. Then you got 1,000 people saying it. And then there's one guy that says, actually, he wasn't as bad as you think. And then they're like, boo, this guy. And that's me. You know what I mean? So like, I'm that. And for me and you, I want everybody to understand that what Dan is doing is really special in this regard. I don't think, and I told my wife this because she doesn't have social media. The average person, like she thinks everybody is like stupid on there, and like just like I show her stuff and she's just like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
But the average person is so used to their Instagram, their Facebook. you post something and everybody's like, oh my God, cool, you're awesome. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, love your kids. What me and Dan are doing is you have no idea waking up and then you see 1,000 people say you're an idiot.
Oh yeah.
And in theory, people what do the people tell you? Oh, Dan, you just got to ignore them. That sounds easy, but I guess, but
it's
I
not.
challenge. But the people that I'm gonna challenge that say that, there's somebody talking all this crap in here right now, right? The people that say that, think about it right now. I'm gonna challenge you this. The one person, you had 10 people agree with you today, right? Because you probably don't get as many interactions. The one person that defied you, you probably been in an argument with that one person all morning, all yesterday, day before that, and everything like that, right? So imagine me and Dan seeing 1,000 of those people, and y'all think that this is easy?
Yeah,
it is not.
It is not. No way, bro. Listen, I have invited so many different burner accounts on here. One guy actually showed up, and I will give him the credit because he actually had balls and came on. But dude, listen, when people are just oh, yeah, dude, just read them, just engage, don't be soft. You have no idea what it's like to have 1,000 people a day tell you, right? That would force you to end up changing your takes and you would be afraid. But at the end of the day, don't be afraid of random people with SpongeBob profile pictures calling you an idiot that doesn't know ball. All right. That's where I go. The one that
kills me is all the people talking about me they know me, they don't know me at all, but they're referencing me by my first name and everything. Generally on the internet, you just yeah, this guy, they'll be Zim, da 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 da. I'll be I don't know these people, but they tell me everything about my life. They be yeah, he's 40 something. Who told you this stuff?
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
I'm not. And then the challenge that we have is imagine if I respond, bro, I'm not 40 something years old. Then they'd be yeah, that's something somebody that's, you know what I mean? So now you got a whole
40 would say.
Yeah, so now you got this whole crazy. So now you just got to ignore it the whole day, even though what people are saying about you is 100% inaccurate. You have to ignore it the whole day. And I challenge people that talk all that trash and do all this stuff in here. I challenge you to go a whole day.
Come on, show.
Yeah, come on his show. I'm telling you, the life that we're looking at your phone is you're an idiot, you're an asshole, da 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 all day, and waking up like that could mess up a lot of people's brain. People talk about mental health and everything like that. I am one of them people. I stay very positive on what I got going. I trust myself. I trust what I'm doing. I'm very thankful. And the reason why is because y'all have no idea what people like me and Dan have to go through on a daily basis. And that's the real about how this goes. And people don't know that life, but they act like they could do it. You couldn't do it because the one person that's going to
otherwise you would be.
You would.
Yeah.
And think about how consistent Dan has to be every single day of his life. Even if you the average person, when the Bills lose, they don't have to go answer to thousands of people. They don't have to go on shows. They just wake up and go about their day and then go see somebody at their job and be yeah, we sucked last night. Dan has to still log in, cut his camera on, and be oh my God, I gotta go hit record. You gotta do that every single day. He has a show every day. So I think what you're doing is awesome. I wanted to at least give you props for that. Even if you piss me off every day of my life with all of your videos, I still have to give props for that because that's tough to do because people, they'll be yeah, you think you're big stuff with a podcast. I'm yeah, that podcast is kind of tough to do every day. It doesn't seem like it, but it's kind of hard to set it all up. Get ready, sponsorships, all these different things. It's tough. So shout out to Dan for that. And I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Zim. I appreciate that. Someone's saying no Bernard or no Bosa ruled out on Sunday. Well, with Bernard he was a complete liability against the run this year. So I'm fine with Shaq Thompson taking those roles. And as far as Bosa not being out, dude, I mean, come on. And so would pressure even really affect Joe Burrow? I mean, come on. Anyway, all right, folks, we appreciate you tapping into another edition of the Don Mafia Report brought to you by Garage Beer. Drink Garage Beer. We'll see you soon. Peace.